If you had the possibility to see into the future, what would you do? What's the first thing you would do with the money you won from the lottery? With this kind of ability, you could take any test and receive full marks, win any kind of luck-based contest, or approach the woman you like in the best way possible. How wonderful it would be if you could see into the future just like that. But is it truly possible to have this kind of ability? Right now, at a pedestrian red light, the protagonist is behind a long-haired girl. As he takes his eyes off the phone and gazes forward, something seems to catch his attention. And I'm not talking about her sailor uniform that would make his zipper break down. He can see a high-speed car moving towards the girl, about to take her on a short trip on its hood. What he saw just now was something like a vision, and quickly after understanding that, happy that the person in front of him is still safe, he moves forward while trying to scream wait. In the next second, he grabs her from behind, creating a tense situation since his hands have magnets that connect with her heavily fortified assets. Realizing what he had just done, the boy takes a step back and apologizes, saying he was trying to save her from an accident. But she does not seem to understand what he tries to say, since nothing seems to be out of place. And that is because the yellow car did not show up yet, and hearing him say it should come soon, his explanation seems to be just a lie a perv came up with. Therefore, she slapped the crap out of him, leaving a huge red mark on the boy's face. But it is all right since she did not get into an accident. And right then, after the woman left the place, the speeding yellow car passed by. This boy's name is 괚ᴜᴜᴜ, and he can see into the future. A while ago, after nearly dying in an accident, he gained this mysterious power. Yet, he is the same dull protagonist you find everywhere. Or is he? Earlier, he got nervous. That's why grabbing those metal treasures happened by accident. He didn't mean to do it like that. Besides, if he hadn't done it, she would have left this world. Therefore, receiving one slap is a small price to pay for saving her life. But is this what will always happen when he tries to help people? The issue is, 괚ᴜᴜ cannot see freely into the future. If that were the case, he'd be swimming in money by now. The twist of his ability is that he can only see a few minutes ahead, and even then, it's rare. Another day, while having breakfast with an older woman, the boy seems to be in a bad mood for some reason. However, the slim-waisted woman seems disappointed in the way he speaks at this age. Instead of saying stupid things like that, he should be helping her find a man. But the boy has no intention of setting her up with a student. Not that it makes a difference, but I've been hoping to land a sugar mommy for a while now. Apparently, this woman is 괊 She took him in when the boy had no one else. She's a very kind-hearted person. The two of them live together in this apartment, and despite that sounding like something to be excited about, there's one thing that makes it difficult. Right now, she's suffering from yet another hangover. As mentioned earlier, she probably goes out drinking every night, looking for men. If only she knew I'm right here. Moving on. After eating, 괚ᴜᴜ is supposed to go pick up his uniform, which just arrived. On his way out, he hears the woman say she wants him to run errands around town to get more comfortable. Still, 괚ᴜᴜ is feeling a bit down after the slapping incident. He didn't really want to leave the house today. Apparently, the daydreams he occasionally has are glimpses of the future, just a few minutes ahead. But most of them show unpleasant outcomes. 괚ᴜᴜ didn't help the girl because of some sense of justice or heroism. Knowing someone would die and choosing to ignore would haunt him. Someday, somewhere, if that memory resurfaced, it would definitely make him regret it. Therefore, he only does it for his own peace of mind. Nothing more. While walking on a bridge, another vision suddenly flashes through his mind. This time, it's of two kids running and playing catch with a figurine. In this future, the boy holding the toy bumps into 괚ᴜᴜ and drops it into the river. What follows is the boy blaming our dull and lifeless protagonist, who can't even get a word out in his defense. In a situation like that, of course, everyone would blame him. Just then, the two kids appear from behind. But since 괚ᴜᴜ already knows their path, he swiftly dodges them, making sure he doesn't end up slamming his rear into the distracted child's face. In moments like these, seeing the future can be pretty convenient. Believing that everything is fine and the toy won't end up in the river this time, 괡ᴜ prepares to continue his day. But a sound attracts his attention. The toy does fall into the river. This time, the boy bumps into a girl instead, and rather than blaming her, he apologizes for not paying attention. After mentioning the toy was a gift from his mom, the girl, her cheeks red with determination, says she'll go get it back for him. Seeing her ready to jump, 괡ᴜ tries to stop her, confused about whether she's really about to leap from that height. With a bright smile that practically screams death wish, she nods and says she will retrieve it right away. She jumps down, striking a surprisingly graceful pose, like a professional mermaid. The sudden silence that follows leaves everyone stunned. The two boys look at each other, wondering if she'll be okay. 괡ᴜ tries to reassure them that she looked like a good swimmer, but a panic scream soon breaks that illusion. Turning to the river, it becomes painfully obvious. 괡ᴜ has just met a vessel without a brain. This human being jumped into the water to rescue a toy without knowing how to swim. Now, she's flailing and calling for help. Thankfully, 괡ᴜ doesn't hesitate. He dives in to save her. But it turns out this rescue mission is more serious than expected. He thought he was about to die. The next moment, the two boys came to check on them, and there she was, still smiling as if nothing had happened. She cheerfully assured them they were fine. In fact, she even tried fishing for a compliment. Looking at her from behind, 괡ᴜ couldn't help but be amazed. Despite not knowing how to swim, she'd actually managed to retrieve the figurine. How did it all come to this? The boy had only gone out to pick up his uniform. Now, the girl turned her gaze toward him. She thanked him for saving her, but 괡ᴜ tries to brush it off. Still, the girl noticed something odd. His face was completely frozen. The reason? Her charming personality was now practically on display, thanks to the soaked clothes clinging tightly to her body. Realizing the situation, she quickly turned around and insisted she doesn't usually wear flashy clothes. Today was just an exception. She had no other choice. While she was still explaining herself, 괡ᴜ mumbled that he hadn't been thinking about it like that. But to her, that sounded suspicious. She began to believe the whole situation with the children was just a setup to get a glimpse of her body. Of course, 괡ᴜ denied it. Being falsely accused twice in one day was already more than enough for him. A moment later, the girl sneezed. Without thinking twice, 괡ᴜ took off his jacket and placed it around her shoulders. "This is better than nothing," he said, adding that she could return it to him next time. Then he turned and walked away. Since things could only get more complicated from here, running away seemed like the safest choice. Watching him go, the girl finally pieced everything together. She realized she'd misunderstood him. She'd doubted someone who had genuinely helped her. If she had just thought it through, she would have seen that he wasn't that kind of person. In fact, he even reminded her of her brother. Holding onto the jacket with a gentle smile, she quietly hoped they'd meet again. Later, back home, 괡ᴜ found himself being questioned. How did you get soaking wet just from picking up a uniform? That's something he was still wondering himself. Slapped in the morning, soaked by noon, maybe he really is cursed. And now, with school starting tomorrow, he's seriously worried about what's coming next. The following day, at an unfamiliar school, a girl sat at her desk, muttering, "I should have slapped him one more time." She was talking about the perv she ran into the day before. Her name was Nanami. She also happened to be friends with the girl 괡ᴜ saved by jumping into the river, Yuri. Yuri noticed Nanami seemed tense and asked what was wrong. That simple question triggered Nanami to vent everything. She claimed she'd been harassed by a perv who had shamelessly grabbed her in broad daylight. "That's unforgivable," Yuri said. "If I find him, I'll make sure he regrets it." Just as she was about to share her own incident from the previous day, the teacher walked into the classroom. After calming the students down, she announced that they'd be introducing a new transfer student. And who could have guessed? Moments later, 괡 walked into the classroom, catching both girls' attention. Facing the class, he immediately spotted Nanami standing. He recognized her right away, the girl he had saved yesterday, the same one who slapped him. If fate really placed the two of them in the same class, it wasn't just a small world. It was a cruel one. Noticing Nanami's reaction, the teacher asked if she knew the transfer student. But Nanami quickly changed her expression and, with a cold, malicious smile, replied, "Nope, never seen this perv in my life." Realizing there is something that could bring some spice in this class, a smell of romance comedy. While the boy keeps on wondering what did she mean by smell of a romance comedy, the woman explains he had a transfer due to some family circumstances and asks everyone to get along with him. Apparently, the boy had a strange feeling from the moment he had met the teacher in the staff room this morning. She does not seem to be normal at all. Seeing the seat where 괡 is supposed to take is not in the right place, the woman decides it is a great opportunity to change seats. And somehow, the boy ends up sitting next to Nanami, who obviously does not seem very pleased about that. She even glances at him intensely. Looking back at her, 괡 notices that she actually got a beautiful figure. If the circumstances were different, he would have been happy to sit next to her. However, for now he must do something about the staring and decides to approach the girl directly, asking not to be stared at, yet she seems annoyed by that since he assaulted her the other day. As he tries to explain it was a misunderstanding, Nanami wonders how could that be called misunderstanding? How can grabbing someone from behind be called a misunderstanding? Trying to say he had done that in order to save her from an accident. Nanami mentions she already heard about it, but is still making no sense. 괡 should come up with a better excuse. Questioning himself if there is a way to clean this misunderstanding, the boy knows there is no way he can say he saw the future where she had an accident. She would never believe him. After saying she had not forgiven him after just one slap, 괡 gives up. Despite being painful to be disliked from day one a transfer, it is nothing special. 괡 is used to being alone. Now the class has just ended, and from the first row of the class, a girl glances at the boy. Meanwhile, Nanami leaves as quickly as possible from her place, letting 괡 ponder over how seeing a few minutes in the future doesn't particularly make life better. Right then someone says this is a disastrous morning. Looking there is a guy who wonders if 괡 has done something to make Yuri glare at him like that. Introducing himself as ᴍɪʀᴜᴜ, the boy questions why is he glared at by Nanami. Hearing the boy being so curious, 괡 questions if that girl is really that famous. Apparently, she is known as a black hair beauty. For guys in this countryside school, her mere existence is refreshing. Even more, that cool, unapproachable personality, she has tons of fans. Wondering what he should say to make the story believable, 괡 mentions he had tripped over himself and accidentally hugged Yuri, who was in front of him. While ᴡSosuke believes that is really lucky, and no wonder why the girl is like that, somebody else approaches 괡, asking for a moment of his time. With a smile on her face, the boy realizes she is the girl who jumped in the river and almost drowned the other day. Seeing her approaching them, ᴡSosuke seems to freak out. This girl is counted almost their school top beauty along with Yuri. There's no way he can stay calm. At first, ᴡSosuke believes she came to speak with him, but that is not the case. She came here for 괡. She expresses her thanks for yesterday and tells him she did not think they would ever meet again. Observing that 괡 already has the two beauties of the school on his back, ᴡSosuke moves closer and grabs him by the shoulders, trying to lick some of that sweat. Maybe some of 괡's luck will get into him. Right then, Nanami mentions that 괡 might have seen some of her secret clothes, but the two of them do not have any kind of relationship. Saying that out of the blue makes the situation even more crazy. And right then, someone from behind questions if he had seen the girl's secret clothes. As Nanami tries to explain the reason why that happened, Yuri interrupts her, saying that 괡 is really just a perv. Once again, looking at him with those malicious eyes, the woman tells him he is the worst. Right then, Yuri takes the girl away, not knowing what that perv might do again. This makes things so much worse. It seems like it would be impossible to clear up the misunderstanding. Later, after finishing the classes, 괡ᴜᴜ walks home together with ᴡᴜᴜᴜ. On their way, 괡ᴜᴜ seems exhausted after having such a long day thanks to his teacher, who took advantage of every opportunity and made the boy interact with Yuri whenever possible. From ᴡᴜᴜᴜ's perspective, this is really amazing, being already close with the school's two top beauties before even transferring. However, 괡ᴜᴜ mentions he does not know them. Moving Nanami aside, what is so great about Yuri? Explaining once again, he only wants to clear up the misunderstanding as quickly as possible. ᴡᴜᴜ mentions he should properly explain and apologize for touching her. That is all he must do, yet the boy makes it difficult by saying it only sounds simple. Then, a strange feeling hits him, and a vision comes into his mind, where he had fallen into a pond, and somebody cannot stop laughing at him. Apparently, that was a vision from the future, and after confirming that on their way there's a rice field, 괡ᴜᴜ mentions they should change the route. Moving to Yuri, the girl seems extremely disappointed after finding out that the perv laid his hands on Nanami. She will absolutely never forgive him. Hearing that, Nanami tells her that 괡ᴜᴜ actually helped her, but Yuri is there to convince her she is being deceived. After all, that guy is just a perv. Despite mentioning the boy was kind yesterday when helping her, Yuri mentions that was just an act to make her lower her guard in order to see her revealing cotton-made material under the wet clothes. Suggesting they should hear the boy's story properly, Yuri intervenes, saying there is no reason to listen to his excuses. Moreover, this is the place where she had been in contact for the first time with that perv. This is the place where 괡ᴜᴜ suddenly hugged her from behind. As she questions what could have been the reason for doing something like that, Yuri mentions that guy said something about an accident and a yellow card. Thinking about it, Nanami remembers something. Her dad was talking about an accident here yesterday. Apparently, her dad is a detective, and there was some flashy yellow sports car that crashed into a utility pole because it was going too fast. Hearing that, Yuri freezes for a moment. Could it be that everything that guy said was true and he actually tried to save her from the car? She tries to brush it off, believing it must have been just a coincidence. But if he hadn't been there at that time to pull her out of the way, who knows what might have happened? Then, from behind, a boy's voice can be heard asking 괡ᴜᴜ what is wrong. The two boys and the two girls just had a fateful meeting. Some time later, sitting at the table inside a family restaurant, the atmosphere is really intense and nobody is saying a word. While staring at one another, 괡ᴜᴜ wonders why it ended up like this. He just wanted to change the future where he fell into the rice field. But that led to him meeting the other two girls. After that, his friend suggested they should all go home together or grab something to drink. It was going to be 괡ᴜᴜ's treat. Hearing that, Nanami suggested the two of them should join them. Observing Yuri wasn't sure about it, the other girl mentioned she had something she wanted to ask. And with that, Yuri agreed, saying 괡ᴜᴜ should treat them to something sweet. Something really sweet. Hearing that, I believe I can make some things taste sweet by pouring some honey on. However, the situation they are in right now is not the best. Deciding this is a great opportunity. ᴡᴜᴜ tells the boy to say something. This is his chance to apologize to Yuri. Despite truly wanting to apologize and clear up the misunderstanding, there's something about this place that makes it difficult. When questioned why she chose this cafe, Yuri mentions she loves the place, and the manager is a nice person as well. Right now, we find out both who the manager is, and the reason why 괡ᴜᴜ is having a difficult time. The manager is his so-called stepmom. She runs this cafe by herself, and the first floor of the house he lives in is actually the cafe. While the girls are enjoying that frappe, 괜ᴜᴜ sits with his head in his hands, wondering if he can just say it. But Yuri doesn't care about that and gazes at him, telling him to stop staring at Nanami. Then, after he mentions he is not a perv, the girl reminds him of the incident where he hugged her. He's got nothing to say after that. 괜ᴜᴜ is already used to her twisting whatever he says. Continuing this back and forth is meaningless. If their relationship worsens further, school life will become even more annoying. That's something he really doesn't want. Therefore, despite being seen by the manager in this awkward situation, there's nothing he can do about it. Calling Yuri by her name, with resolve on his face, 괡ᴜᴜ slams his hands on the table and, bowing his head down, apologizes. He's apologizing for what happened yesterday. Realizing what he just did, Yuri questions him for the reason. But after hearing the same thing, that he didn't have any perv desires and was just trying to save her from an accident, she calls him a liar. There wasn't even a car passing by at that time. However, she had heard about a yellow car that got into an accident nearby. How did he know a yellow car was coming? Finding out that car really crashed makes it difficult for him to explain, but Sosuke joins the conversation, mentioning he saw it too, the car speeding all over the place. With this, 괡ᴜᴜ mentions he saw it even before meeting Yuri. It was driving so fast he thought it would be dangerous if it came while they were crossing the road. As she glares at him, the boy believes that excuse sounds a bit too desperate, but while letting out a sigh, she decides to let it slide for now. Finally, from tomorrow, his ass would no longer turn that chair into a swamp with his sweat. Though, knowing him, something else is bound to happen. Yeah, the girl mentions she hasn't fully believed what he said. She didn't receive a convincing answer, and the fact he hugged her is undeniable. That's why she's going to judge for herself whether he's telling the truth or he's just some perv. With that being said, the misunderstanding isn't cleared at all. Yuri questions if 괡ᴜᴜ really thought apologizing once was enough, creating the possibility of a misunderstanding. She asks if the boy thinks her body is that cheap. Therefore, 괡ᴜᴜ would treat her to this cafe's parfait 10 times, and then she's going to forgive him for hugging her. From the side, someone is laughing at both of them. With a smile on her face, Nanami says, "It looks like they made up," and that is a great thing. Even Sosuke says out loud with a smile that they should say it's resolved for now. This makes the atmosphere much better than before, and the level of anxiety decreases drastically. Now, chit-chatting, the boy asks 괡ᴜᴜ where he lives and finds out it's right there. Later, after leaving the cafe and getting ready to head back home, Sosuke desires to spend more time with the girls and suggests walking them back, but both of them decline. Thinking that this cafe is 괡ᴜᴜ's house, it surprises them, and Yuri believes it would be hard to come back here since she might run into him. This was her favorite spot. However, in the next moment, before everyone leaves the premises, the manager comes outside. They know the manager is 괡ᴜᴜ's guardian. As they think someone might have forgotten something, the woman mentions it's not the case. She just came to say thank you. She thanks them for being friends with 괡ᴜᴜ. She never thought he would bring friends home on his first day at new school. As Yuri thinks she really did not mean to become friends with him, the woman mentions that 괡ᴜᴜ has a complicated family situation and that he's got a bit of an attitude. But if possible, she would like it if they would continue being kind to him. Everyone agrees, even the so-called Ice Princess, when Nanami questions her. Another day has come, and 괡ᴜᴜ is on his way to school after oversleeping. Since it is already this late, there is no reason for him to rush. He might as well take his time. Out of nowhere, his head feels heavy, prompting the boy to close his eyes and have another vision. 2 guys are approaching a girl on the street, trying to make her skip school and sing at their microphones. However, she does not seem to be interested in their proposal and tries to push them away, but that only makes the boys even more interested in her. They give her a warning about being way too cocky. Right then, in that vision, the 2 of them notice 괜ᴜᴜ staring at them, and they start questioning the flustered boy. Why is he looking at them with those dead eyes? 괜ᴜᴜ is not able to say a thing, prompting them to spout slurs and, in the next second, grab the girl away. Back to reality, the boy realizes he had witnessed another troublesome vision. Yet for me, this seems to be just another opportunity to make a harem for himself. A moment later, the boy realizes he is already at the place from the vision, and right then, someone can be heard questioning a girl where she is going, and the event unfolds the same as in his vision. while wondering what he should do since things are about to go in a bad direction. The boy is about to flex his ass cheeks, but quickly decides to choose lollipops over chocolate bars. You know, some men are born to conquer, others just lick and twirl. Deciding to ignore the girl since she has nothing to do with him, he remembers what happened afterwards. Therefore, after swallowing hard, trying to hide his nervousness, 괡ᴜ calls for her, apologizing for keeping her waiting. He even mentions they were supposed to skip school and go on a date today. They should get going now. These words came out of his mouth in a way he did not expect. His mouth was moving while his brain was still catching up. Why did he have to mention date? After a short, awkward silence, the other boys are wondering if 괡ᴜ is the girl's boyfriend. However, he does not even know her name, and no proper words are coming out of his little mouth. But the girl moves toward him, grabs the boy by the shirt, and lets him know he is late. She even mentions that because of him, these weirdos started harassing her. Being flustered by the way the girl is acting, 괡ᴜ's face turns red, like a tomato after you squeeze it between your thighs. However, the smile this girl is showing while holding the boy's hand makes me feel quite uncomfortable. It is as if she found her next target, and I will end up being eaten alive. A while later, the two end up under a bridge where supposedly they are safe. Looking all wasted, 괡ᴜ mentions he got really tired, which tells us a lot about his stamina. The girl does not seem to break a sweat. After apologizing for making him run all of a sudden, she thanks the boy, letting him know he really helped her out. Slowly, I feel like being eaten by her is not such a bad ending. And so does our protagonist. The girl wonders why 괡ᴜ helped her. But before he even manages to say anything, she mentions the reason could be that he thought she might give him something in return. Despite him trying to say that was not his intention, the woman mentions it's okay. As a thank you for saving her, she gives 괡ᴜ a proposal that would make your butt cheeks all sweaty and your entire body shake in excitement. Too bad that was a joke. She's playing with his feelings the same way every woman in my life played with mine. However, compared to me, leaving with a broken heart and a bit more lift in my jeans than I'd care to explain, this guy did not take her seriously. Next moment, the girl stands up, fluttering her skirt, and tells 괡ᴜ to get going. When he wonders what she's talking about, she mentions they're skipping school today. After all, they have a date. While he is not able to comprehend what's going on, since this was supposed to be just a way to get out of that situation, the girl tells him her name. She is Sana Fujibayashi, and apparently, the two of them will spend the day together. Even though 괡ᴜ has never dated a girl before, Sana is taking the lead and tells him that there's nothing interesting around here, so they'll take the train to the next station. However, this thing they call a date seems somehow off. The two of them start by having some crepes, since Sana hasn't eaten anything since morning. Then they try to reproduce an indirect kiss by changing drinks. They go shopping, and 괡ᴜ follows her like a hungry puppy, slowly getting more and more bored. This thing called a date is so exhausting for him, yet for Sana, it seems so fun. Looking at how she spends money without worrying about it makes the boy believe she might be a rich girl. Right then, Sana questions how old the boy is and finds out they're the same age. The reason she didn't recognize him was because 괡ᴜ just transferred here last week, and apparently, he is the rumored transfer student. However, finding out he just transferred explains everything. If he had known about her, he probably wouldn't have spoken to her. When trying to find out what she means by that, the girl interrupts him, mentioning her taxi is there, graduating him from being a butler after putting all her bags inside. Sana mentions that if he sees her at school, he should feel free to say hi. Before leaving, she tilts her head closer to 괡ᴜ and whispers that if asked, she would help him finish that birth homework, the one where 2 participants are needed. Trying to explain himself, saying he would never talk to her again, the girl only smiles and waves at him while leaving. Now, thinking about it, how did she know he still hasn't finished his manhood homework? Is she used to these kind of things? Was it really necessary for him to intervene and help her? Too much thinking. Today was really intense. On the other side, when Sana arrives at her place, she glances at the photo she took together with 괡ᴜ. She finds him worth teasing, and she still laughs thinking about it. But he is a good guy. Looking at that huge building in front of her, which suggests she's not just any regular girl. Sana wonders if she's going to see the boy again. The following day, at school, 괡 is approached by his friend, who is wondering what he had been doing yesterday since he skipped school. His friend even assumes the boy must have hung around with a girl, which he did end up doing. Just thinking about how he spent the day with Sana makes his cheeks red. Thinking about it, the boy believes that telling Kusuk about it would only cause unnecessary trouble. It's better to keep quiet about it. Therefore, 괡 tells him he was just sleeping at home, but it's obvious the boy isn't buying it. Moving on, Kusuk, a meaty lover at heart, just like many of us, hoping he could stumble upon a fateful meeting. Like bumping into a girl around the corner by accident, something fate would make happen. And God is listening to his prayer. The next moment, the boy bumps into a woman around the corner. However, when raising his head up while telling her to watch where she's going, his face becomes pale, and he's almost about to let out a tear when seeing the expression Sana is making. A moment later, the girl looks at the other boy, and when she sees it's 괡, she puts her head down and, despite him calling her, she keeps running away. While wondering why she ran off, Kusuk says the boy really managed to make Sana leave. Wondering if she's that famous, his friend tells him about the rumors they're spreading around. How she supposedly has this dangerous delinquent boyfriend from another school. And if she sets her eyes on you, who knows what will happen. Thinking about the university his friend mentioned, 괡 remembers the incident from yesterday, where some boys from the same school approached her, and it seems she didn't know them. Is that rumor even true? But who knows? There's no evidence. But there is another rumor going around. Apparently, she likes to be the first one to take the cherry from the top of the cake. Then 괡 remembers the proposal she made him the other day, helping him graduate and lose that V card. Therefore, this rumor could actually be true. However, Kusuk, who is not sure about it, would gladly offer his cherry, despite shaking in fear moments ago. A bit later, entering the classroom, 괡 is being called by someone. Turns out Asajiri is wondering why he skipped school yesterday. While saying he just wasn't feeling well and stayed home, he actually thinks the hostility she once directed toward him is gone. Yet today, there seems to be another kind of gaze on him. Asajiri, looking at him, declares she doesn't believe it. But when 괡 wonders why she is so curious about why he skipped, she mentions it's not that. Him not being there only made everything harder for her. Wondering what she's talking about, the woman shouts out loud, "Committee work." She had to do all the health committee tasks alone. However, 괡 never agreed to joining any of that. But that is not important. It was decided yesterday during the committee assignments. She volunteered as the health committee rep for the girls, but it took forever to decide on a boy. Therefore, the teacher just decided for them. To make it worse, the very first committee duty was to check and restock hygiene supplies around the school, and she had to enter the cave of snakes and mice. With that being said, 괡 would be taking care of everything by himself for today. Even more, she had a special task for him. That special task was not to watch the ladies' locker room during PE, but something similar. It was watching over the nurse's office. Bored, sitting at that desk, hoping for someone to come, 괡 has a vision of some girls playing basketball. Apparently, one of them got her ankle broken. While wondering who that girl might be, someone shows up in front of the nursery. Apologizing, the girl enters the room and finds out the teacher's not there. Seeing 괡, she realizes he must be from the health committee, and then suggests she doesn't need the teacher anyway. She just ran out of sports tape during practice. Whenever that happens, they always give her some. She only tells the boy to let the teacher know later on. Looking at the way she puts the tape on her leg, 괡 realizes she's not that dexterous with her arms. The way she taped it is pretty sloppy. Observing that she's having a hard time dealing with it, this is way too painful to watch, and he decides it's time to put his fingers to work. Approaching the girl, he offers his help. Happily, the girl lifts her leg as if she were a dog ready to eat some peanut butter out his hands. Moments later, her leg is well taped and ready to go. After she gracefully thanks him for the job, 괡 wonders if the girl had sprained her ankle or something, and it seems she did. Her name is Suka, from the basketball team. Telling the boy he doesn't have to be so formal with her. With a smile on her face, she mentions that he's the transfer student. They're the same age, therefore it's fine to be casual. Realizing she must go back to practice, the girl is about to leave, but Erase makes sure to let her know not to push herself too much. But she's confident in Erase's taping skills, and once again thanks him before leaving. A short time after that, Erase finds himself bored again, and his mind drifts toward the basketball team. Could that girl be the one from his vision? And still, with that leg, is practice really possible? Should he have stopped her after all? Right then, the nurse comes in. Seeing that, Erase quickly grabs his stuff and runs. The boy rushes toward the basketball room and now wonders what he should do next. He is late, and she might have already gotten hurt. Looking around, he sees the girls playing and realizes Suka's leg seems totally fine. Thinking about his vision, the girl hurt her right leg, while Suka came to the nursery to take care of her left leg. Therefore, the girl from his vision could be someone else. Right then, as he is ready to leave the place, the girls can be heard making some noise. Looking there, Suka just had an accident.